Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. We recently polled you, our YouTube community, on which Faith No More song I should listen to. We read your comments, we tallied your votes, and today I'm going to be listening to your second most popular choice because many of you mentioned in those comments that this showcases Mike Patton's vocal range best and would be an ideal introduction. But don't worry, we will get to your first choice as well very soon. For now, let's begin the Faith No More journey with Midlife Crisis. Let's get to it.
My next guest, an extremely talented group of performers. They've been billed by several magazines as Band of the Year. Just received a Grammy nomination for Best Hard Rock Performance for their CD Angel Dust, performing Midlife Crisis from that album, Faith No More.
He's got a really big range. Okay, so I have to shout out another big thank you to YouTube community, by the way, for mentioning in this particular recording, saying, hey, this is the best live performance. It's from The Tonight Show. I think that's really cool that you guys pointed me directly to a great recording to listen to, and we always really appreciate that. It sounded like he was breathing in with phonation at times in there. Of course, we had some harsh vocals, and then we got this really nice, clean, rather high vocal at one point. It sounded very, very well produced. There was a lot happening in a short amount of time in his voice. So I'm going to go back. Let's go back to the beginning.
Performing Midlife Crisis from that album, Faith No More.
I'm so intrigued right now. It has a remarkably light sound at this moment, I think, because we just have the drums, but there's nothing it doesn't feel really, really heavy at the moment. So I think that's really interesting. I thought this was going to be like a blast of sound immediately, and it isn't. This is fascinating. Just like, wow. His breath flow control is incredible. The way he's varying the flow in there, it's mind-boggling. It's so cool because he's got different techniques for where he's creating some of the sounds. I hear a little bit of true fold, wacka, wacka, wacka. I mean, I hear like a pitch every now and then that's entering, but he also has so much rhythmic intensity in it. It almost feels like he's rapping this. And then I hear, it sounds like some false folds kind of rumbling in there as well. And then there are times when I can hear that breath flow. He's just really supercharged it and allowed a ton of air to come through. And then a rather more normal flow is happening for a bit. And then there's like a whoosh of air. It's fascinating. he's even bringing a little bit of constriction together sometimes when he's breathing in to create a sound and doing it in a really rhythmic way. Ah, wow. Okay, just to explain this clearly so you understand why my mind goes the moment he gets up into his high register. When your vocal folds are going wacka, wacka, wacka and creating a high pitch, they're vibrating very quickly together to create that higher pitch. And when you're going this kind of sound and letting tons of extra air through, there's a bigger volume of air that can come through. When they're creating a pitch like really, really quickly like this, it's almost like you put your finger on the spigot of a hose and the airflow goes faster through it. It's a more slender flow. The airflow in his throat has gone through so many different modulations since he first started making sounds. It's just insane. And then to have this kind of clean attack on top also requires really beautiful and precise coordination of that air pressure and flow so that right at the moment that he starts singing, it's coordinated so that the air hits and the vocal folds start vibrating at the same time. And it's got a lot of efficiency in the sound. There's so much that's happening all very quickly. Wow. Okay. I swear I'm going to get further in the song. Wow. Okay, right there, there's so much distortion on the sound. And then he has incredible cleans. Man, he's really, really good at delineating between the two and just adding in some distortion without destroying any part of his voice. It's so clear when he goes to his cleans because they are pristine, that there is nothing that he's doing when he's in a distorted voice to be doing any sort of damage to the clean, beautiful phonation. Oh my goodness. In addition, he's moving around so much. A lot of singers will struggle when they have this much movement. But that's partly because I think they're not as loose and connected to their core. When in his movement here, he has a lot of connection kind of down through his trunk, and he seems like he's got some relaxation as well. It's important that there's fluidity, I think, in a person's body and posture when singing. If you become totally rigid, everything clamps down and it's not good. You get too tight, and then you often will get more damage if you're super tight in singing. He's got looseness, but engagement in that looseness. It's fascinating. Shoot. Okay. It almost sounds like he's doing a kind of throat singing at times. Not the kind that I think many of you on the channel are familiar with, that is really working with false fold coordination with true folds exactly. twice as slow. That kind of false fold singing creates subharmonics. I don't really hear that happening here as much, but I hear a lot of that inhalation that results in some sort of sound creation at the same time. And it becomes like almost a circular, they'll sometimes call it circular singing, where you have singing coming in and out. But then it's done in this almost rap-like form. It's so cool. It's combining so many different things at the same time.
It's the salt and darkly. It's more myself watching. in my pinky. I'm
You can really hear in there a couple times when he's inhaling and creating sounds. I'll go back one more time. Right there, that was a great inhalation and phonation. I even heard little bits of relaxed vibrato in there. Like, that clean singing production is good. Wow. What an interesting mind to be coming up with so many different sounds and different things that he's blending together at once. I'm super fascinated. I'm really curious what it feels like to him when he's making some of the distorted sounds, because it sounds like to me that he's got different areas that he's distorting in, especially when he's distorting with clean singing in that upper range versus just some of the harsh vocals that I heard in what I think were verses. Let's go back one more time. That's so interesting. Ha! A nice sustain as well. Wow. I have to say it, y'all. This is a great example of a diphthong. By the way, we now have shirts that say keep calm and diphthong. So many of you have been requesting that. So it finally happened. Just so you know, it's in the merch store now. I'm pretty excited about that. Our diphthong happens on Crisis, which when I say that, you're like, oh, where's the diphthong? But then he slows it down and he goes, cry. So you have it right there. I. When you say crisis, that middle sound, it's one sound, but there's two distinct vowels in it. Cry, I, right? Both of them are there, and he accents it so hard. Crisis. What a great example of a diphthong, and a great example of how you can use those two vowels when you're singing and they're elongated and actually put them on different pitches. So epic. Oh my gosh, I love the way he's flipping back and forth between them. This is impressive. Wow. Wow. He's really exact about where he's playing with pitch and bending it a little bit or just being straight on it as well. He's very, very interesting and deliberate, it seems like, in making so many different vocal choices at the same time. By the way, he apparently denied that this song is actually about having a midlife crisis. He said that it's more about creating false emotion, being emotional, dwelling on your emotions and innocence, inventing them. I thought that was really interesting that he said like he's too young when this was written to have experienced a midlife crisis. So I thought it was really interesting that the song is still called Midlife Crisis, and it's just an entirely different metaphor for another emotional time. Ooh, I like that back. Go back. I'm not sure why he's tilting the microphone up like that. I think that might just be fun to do. It's so close to his mouth. I don't think that the off axis is really doing a whole lot at that point, but it might be. And during one of those times when he leans back and he's tilting it back, you still see it in like a very straight on pattern. One of the times he tilts it up and he basically goes up a little bit too. So yeah, again, I don't think it's really doing much. It looks kind of cool. Okay, the way he's really low in the ground a lot here. That can be useful for having a sense of low support that feels like it's coming from the floor. And when I say low support, I mean that when a person breathes in and starts singing, they feel that their breath has gone down low. It hasn't just expanded the upper ribs or the middle, but it's expanded the lower ribs and maybe even displaced a little bit of those muscles beneath. And then when you start to sing, there'll often be a little bit of resistance from those really lower, often pelvic floor muscles that are involved in restraining the diaphragm from just letting the air go and going straight out. Obviously, he has such great breath control. I imagine he's using tons of different breath muscles. And there are ones that are higher, there are ones that are lower, there's ones that are between your ribs. Breathing is a very complicated thing to do. So there are so many different muscles that kind of assist with that breath control. The way that he's able to get down low into the ground and is, again, fluid in his posture, it makes me wonder if that's really assisting him in having some of that lower support at times. This is lower than horse dance for all y'all who love Iron Maiden. And yeah, really, really cool. Wow, what a stage animal. Woo! Woo! Oh, I wish that would have gone on longer. I want to go back to the, I've been spoiled by metal. Meaning that I like it when songs are really, really long, especially if they're awesome, because then we get to just dig in more. Anyhow, we're going to go back a little bit more because I was not ready for it to end. What's that weird? I thought that was an audio. Oh, interesting. Whew. Huh. That's fascinating. I love the way that he is flipping between so many different vocal techniques so quickly. It's very impressive. It requires tons of fast coordination. In addition to being a total stage animal, I feel like I need to understand more about Mike Patton. And I also feel very touched reading more about Faith No More and how they've inspired so many fantastic artists that we've already done on the channel, like Corey Taylor and David Draymond. And I just feel like I need to know more about Faith No More. So please continue to make comments down below. You can check out this playlist of artists that are inspired by Faith No More over here. And may you fall more in love with music every day.